Afternoon. My name is Peter Peckarsky. I'm a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the United States Senate seat from Wisconsin. I'm here today with Dr. Darrell Williams, also a candidate to protect our democracy. To protect our democracy in Wisconsin, in the United States of America, in the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and in the Democratic National Committee. I want to say a word about myself, Dr. Williams will, and what it means to talk about democracy in the Democratic Party of Wisconsin and the Democratic National Committee. First off, a word about me. I'm a fourth generation Wisconsinite, born and bred in Milwaukee. I have 2 degrees from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, 1 in electrical engineering, taught there for a while, a law degree from Case. I'm a member of the bar of the United States Supreme Court. I am a member of the bar of the 2 trial courts in Wisconsin, the United States District Court for the Western District of Wisconsin and the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. I also am a member of the bar in numerous other federal courts around the country. Practice intellectual property law, patent, copyright, trademark. I also handled election protection around Wisconsin and around the nation at the request of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, the Democratic National Committee, the California Democratic Party, and other groups for about 20 years or so. In terms of my background, I also was a civilian consultant to the Chief of Naval Operations of the United States Navy on issues of strategic nuclear forces and platforms, and to the Director of Naval Intelligence, also of the United States Navy, on matters of intelligence analysis. In addition to my work in election protection, as I said, I've also been a intellectual property lawyer in a lot of high-tech areas. Let me say a word or two about the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, the Democratic National Committee. We're here today. This is unusual because we sent out a letter we sent earlier in the day to Jamie Harrison, the chair of the Democratic National Committee. That makes 2 times within less than a month, Dr. Williams and I have had to write the chair of the Democratic National Committee to seek his help to make certain that the Democratic Party of Wisconsin conducted itself in accordance with the Constitution, with its own Constitution, the Constitution of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and the Charter or Constitution of the Democratic Party of the United States of America. You know about the Democratic National Committee. Between conventions, they handle running the party, and between conventions, which we are now, there's no national convention in progress. The person in charge of the Democratic Party is Jamie Harrison. He's the chair to whom we wrote this morning. We had to write to him previously because of the manner in which debates were being handled in Wisconsin. I'm not going to go into that too much. If any of the journalists here want me to go into it, I'll be happy to go into it. The reason we're here now, as I said, is to protect the rule of law. That's been one of my campaign themes throughout, protecting our democracy. We are a nation which prides itself on having a rule of law. There are rules written down and we abide by them. In particular, we're talking about an endorsement issued Saturday afternoon out of the blue, and this is an unprecedented endorsement. The reason I know it's an unprecedented endorsement is because on Sunday night, the chair of the for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin of the 1st Congressional District put out an email to a lot of people following what was happening and said that this has never been done before. That is, in the history of the state of Wisconsin and the Democratic Party, as far as we can tell, we also did some independent research. Anybody's got a counterexample, let us know. But as far as we can tell, since the state of Wisconsin was granted statehood on or about May 29th of 1848, such an event has never happened. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The people decide with their votes on Tuesday, August 9, who will get the various nominations, including for the United States Senate. We were advised of this. It was totally out of the blue. I happened to be, as I think the party knew, on a trip of 650 miles on Saturday to speak at one of the party events for one of the other 7th Congressional District in northwestern Wisconsin. had a great time. At the same time, without notice to me, without notice to any of the other candidates on the ballot, that is, other than the person who got the endorsement, they decided to go ahead and engage in this process of endorsing something. So I found out about it about a day later. Nobody had the courtesy to call to let me know, that is from the party, that this had happened. And we, wanted to inquire into it. The first thing I found out was that a substantial number of people on the administrative committee of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin were opposed to this. And let me back up a second and just make it quite clear that we're talking about the Democratic Party of Wisconsin and the Democratic National Committee and what those two groups do and why they're important. They're important in particular with respect to the DNC. It's not just a political party. That is only one of only two groups in this entire country who can put somebody on the ballot to be president of the United States. So it is important that that group follow its rules. We saw what happened in 2016 when they didn't, but I just wanted to underline that point for everybody on this call. Going ahead, we heard about the endorsement. So I called up the local county, people who run the local county party in Milwaukee, asked about it, and was told that apparently information could not be shared. So we continued asking, just trying to get the documents, unable to do so. There is a constitution of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, which is in writing, and per the rules of the Democratic National Committee, to which the Democratic Party of Wisconsin functions under the authority of the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has to have written rules by which they conduct itself. The written rules in this case are the Constitution of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Those rules set forth clearly that there will be no endorsements prior to a primary unless there are unusual circumstances. And if there are unusual circumstances, there's a procedure to be followed. Again, all of this must be done in writing, and that procedure is to have county party units, that is for example, Democratic Party of Milwaukee County, a congressional districts can make the request, or a local party unit. The request cannot be made by a caucus of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. The announcement put out by the Democratic Party of Wisconsin indicated that this endorsement was triggered by a request from the LGBTQ caucus and from the county parties in Waukesha County, Racine County, and Portage County. We've asked for those documents, none have been provided. And I want to make clear, as we made clear in the letter which we sent to all of you, to Chair Jamie Harrison this morning, just like to read a piece from this. And that is that we, Dr. Williams and I, the other candidates on the ballot, strongly and vigorously support full rights for all members of the LGBTQ community, as is made clear, for example, by the specific reference and discussion of the need for federal legislation, including but in no way limited to the Equality Act, to protect, enhance, and expand the rights of all members of the LGBTQ community, as appears on one of our websites. That's my website at the priorities page. You take a look at it. You can see at the on that page a reference to LGBTQ rights, the need to enhance and expand them, including with federal legislation. So we support the LGBTQ community. The point is that according to the Constitution of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, they did not have the authority to request emergency action. That is an endorsement of anybody. But as the documents put out indicate that their view was considered. We don't know what they said because we've asked for the documentation, sent a letter to Ben Wickler, who's the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, does a fine job. And we asked for that yesterday, and the response we got from Mr. Wickler, who on Saturday had sent out a notice that for the first time in the history of the party and the history of this state, there had been a pre-primary endorsement by the Democratic Party. The response we got was that he's on vacation till August 8th. So we then sent the letter and the request for information to the other officers of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, also to the executive director, a number of other people, And the response we got was no documents. It was just, we'll deal with it accordingly. I do not understand the response. Bottom line is, we asked for documents. The documents should exist. The business of the party is done in writing, as is made clear by the charter of the Democratic Party of the United States of America. So all we wanted the documents that establish what happened. For example, what was the written recommendation from Waukesha, Racine, and Portage County? And what, although it shouldn't be considered, did the LGBTQ caucus say? Were there any other letters about this? There apparently was a letter written to the Administrative Committee of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin on about Friday, July 29, saying that the vote was going to be held. We'd like a copy of that letter. There apparently was a letter sent out on Saturday, July 30, indicating that the vote had been successful. We'd like a copy of that and a copy of the vote. That is how each of the Administrative Committee members voted. That should be part of the minutes of the Administrative Committee, which are supposed to be made public within 21 days after a meeting. There is a procedure by which the Administrative Committee, or there's supposed to be a procedure by which they can take action without a meeting, such as the unprecedented action in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, like a week and a half before a primary, a heavily contested primary, to endorse one of the candidates. So we'd like to see those written procedures. Those weren't produced either. There are a number of other things we asked for, like the people who were on the admin committee, the people who got the notice. It is not clear that all the members of the admin committee got the notice. Some of them may have been on vacation. So we've asked for all this information. It's all reasonable. It's all information which should have existed, that is, except for the vote count. Everything should have existed and been in place on Friday, Saturday when this happened, July 29 and 30. And the response we received is the chair is gone. Having taken this unprecedented action, the chair is gone for a week or so, till August 8th. So we wanted to bring this to your attention. And I should point out that if these documents don't exist, the action of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin was in violation of its own constitution. And because the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has to operate in accord with its written regulations, such as the Constitution of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, they have violated the charter of the Democratic Party of the United States of America, if in fact there were a violation of the state constitution, because the national charter requires that all state organizations, such as the DPW, conduct themselves in accord with their written rules. So all we want are the documents that back this up. They all should have been available on Friday the 29th. We've been asking for them. We wrote a nice, polite letter to Ben Wickler, who's doing a great job for the party and for the people of Wisconsin. Don't have a response. So we figured we would bring that to your attention. I want to flag again, as far as we can tell, on the authority of the chair of the 1st Congressional District for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. This is an unprecedented action in the history of the party. And I'd point out again, it is unusual, to say the least, that somebody would have to seek the help of the Democratic National Committee twice within the course of a month to arrange for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin or any one of the state parties to conduct themselves in accord with the law. This country runs on the rule of law. We saw on January 6th of last year, or of 2021, which is last year at this point, what happens when we don't operate according to the rule of law. So we're here to stand up today. That is, Dr. Williams and I are here to stand up for the rule of law, for democracy in the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, for democracy in the Democratic National Committee, and for democracy in the United States of America. That has been one of the themes of my campaign, protecting democracy, which means everybody gets to vote without question, and every vote is counted as cast. In this case, it means that, as we pointed out in a prior press conference, everybody on that ballot should have been able to make their case to the people using the property which belongs to the people. The TV airwaves on which Channel 4 in Milwaukee broadcast a program which kept, I think, 3 of the 8 people off the stage under really dubious circumstances. And I should point out that to make that happen, as I pointed out at the last press conference, which really made me sit up and think about it, somebody, the president of Scripps Howard, the EW Scripps Company of Cincinnati, Ohio, as I read the records filed with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, had to put $7.3 million of his own money on the line because TMJ4, in our view, was not operating honestly. He's got to sign a certificate that TMJ4, which he ultimately controls, is operating honestly, that the business is operating honestly. He's got to sign that certificate every year. And if he can't, unless he gets a waiver from his board, it would appear possible that he's not getting his $7.3 million. So if somebody's willing to put up $7.3 million to keep Dr. Williams and Cooley, another candidate, and me off the stage, I have to wonder why. And I would suggest that the journalists in this audience and the people of Wisconsin and the United States of America should wonder why also. At that point, at this point, I would like to introduce Dr. Darrell Williams. He has put his life on the line for this country for 29 years in the uniform of the United States Army. In combat, he received a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. He is fully qualified to be on the ballot. He got the same 2,000 signatures as certified by the Wisconsin Elections Commission that everybody else did to be on this ballot. So I would like to step aside and let Dr. Williams explain his views of what is happening here.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you all very much for being on this call. My name is Dr. Darrell Williams. I am a career educator. I spent 27 years in the education system, educating students right here in Milwaukee Public Schools and across the state. I used to be a turnaround principal for schools, was selected National Principal of the Year, and went on to be interim superintendent of schools in Beloit, Wisconsin for 4 years. Joined the military when I was 16 years old. Served this country and this state in the Wisconsin National Guard and the United States Army for 29 years. I served 2 combat tours, one in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. Was humbled to receive the Purple Heart and Bronze Star Medal for service in the combat zone. And upon return, I was appointed by our very own Governor Evers as emergency manager for the state of Wisconsin. That is the lead state agency that deals with natural and man-made disasters. We serve as a heartbeat of the COVID-19 response and also civil unrest action here within the state of Wisconsin. So I've been on the front lines of many of these issues and so forth. But I will tell you, it was really heart-wrenching to see that the very rights and freedoms that I fought for 29 years, one, are being denied to myself and also to the people of Wisconsin. I'm really here today to really express our dismay, not only my dismay, but the sentiments of other candidates who have just received a slap in the face by the premature endorsement of the Democratic Party without any announcement, so forth. We view this as an unprecedented and unfortunate situation that did not need to happen just days before the primary. What it simply says is to the public is forget the rest of these other candidates who are on the ballot. One of the excuses that was used was the fact that 3 of the candidates had dropped out of the race. Well, just because 3 of the candidates had dropped out of the race, that doesn't mean that you dismiss the other candidates who are just as qualified and in many cases more qualified, especially using the Marquette poll, which they signify as a factor. That Marquette poll at one point said there was 48% of the people in this state who were unsure and uncertain of who they wanted to vote for. And most recently, the Marquette poll said there was 36% of the people in this state who were unsure and uncertain of who they wanted to vote for. And what the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has done is actually taken the rights of the voting away from thousands, hundreds of thousands of our Wisconsinites. And I don't think anybody has the right to do that. As I expressed before, when with WTMJ4, when they said you had to have 5,000 individual contributors to be a part of your campaign, and with Channel 12 that said you have to have $250,000 and be on the Marquette poll to be a part, to even get on the stage. I look at this, I view this as a form of voter suppression, and no one should have the right based off of money and based off a position to hush the voices of hundreds of thousands of Wisconsin voters. What it simply says is really an insult to the intelligence, the voting intelligence of every Wisconsinite that says you can't make an informed decision. So we're going to make the decision for you by prematurely and in an unprecedented fashion endorsing one candidate and saying, forget the rest of these candidates. And that's unfair, it's not right, and that's not what I thought the Democratic Party was about. And I will tell you, so whenever we're talking about these issues nationwide of voter suppression for the Republican Party, we have just engaged in the very conduct that we said that we were against. And it's unfortunate. And it hurts to say it, but it's a fact. And I want the people of Wisconsin and around this nation to know that we're not going to stand for it. This is one of the issues that I talked about within my campaign as well, because I didn't run for this to make another name for myself. Most people would consider a person who's worked in education for 27 years, was National Principal of the Year, 29 years of service in the military, a Purple Heart Bronze Star Medal. I could go sit at Fort Living Room and retire it on out. But I decided to run for this position because of some of the very things that we are experiencing right now. If I had not been in this race, some of these things I would not have known. And the unfortunate part, you may not have known as a listening audience. But because these things are so important to you, at the end of the day, whether I'm in this race or not, the important part is, don't you still feel that you should have the right to choose? You should have the right to see the faces and hear the voices of the people who you are expected to vote for. And you don't need, I don't care what party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, to sway your vote and by prematurely endorsing any candidate. And it's really unfortunate because here it is that we work with these people every day. And this has never come up as an issue. We have been told before that they would not, the Democratic Party would not endorse any candidate until after the primary. But now that this precedent is in place, what advantage would that have for you as a people, as a person or a voter right here within the state of Wisconsin? So the next time that anybody runs, what's the purpose of somebody running if we run the risk that that the party would actually endorse somebody at any point in time, not just 9 days before the primary, but at any point during on the campaign trail. We owe our Wisconsinites, we have to do better. And we always talk about holding people accountable. And at this point, we have to hold people accountable, even if it's within our own party. So therefore, you heard Peter talk specifically about the documents that we have been asking for. Those documents have not been produced as of yet. We are anticipating those documents in an expeditious fashion, just as the decision was made in an expeditious fashion. So if that decision was made, surely those documents are available. We want to see them, and the public has the right to know as well what prompted such an unprecedented move to endorse a candidate just a few days before the primary. And I would almost argue if things were so drastic that we had to beat Ron Johnson so bad, and he's not the most important factor in this race, then I would almost say to our party is that we may have put our holster, put our saddle on the wrong horse. So this is important, not just about me, but it's more importantly about you. But we just happen to be in the seat running for the United States Senate seat. And I would tell you, as a human being, and whether I was running or not, I would not sit back and be silent on issues that matter. So this makes the difference. And I want to say thank you. And I'll turn it back over to Peter at this point. If there are any questions, be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. I think we mentioned an ad in the press release. It's up statewide now. We'll try and play it for you. It's also available on the website, peckarskyforwisconsin.com. Hit the About tab. There's a drop down which says TV and radio ads. Just drop it down. It's one we cut, I think Monday at the county courthouse in Milwaukee. I'll try and play it now. The camera may pick it up. If not, you can just find it on the website, for Wisconsin.com at the About Peter tab. There are also two other ads up there, which are also running statewide. One about sort of comparing me, well, what I'm not, and laying out some factors of the people still in the race. You may have seen it, has some basketballs in it. The other one is about the censorship we talked about earlier. That will be running through the election. Let me try and play this ad. If you can see it fine to get the TV screen. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm U.S. Senate candidate Peter Peckarsky, now in second place, approving this ad paid for by Peckarsky for Wisconsin, and saying that 4 out of the 5 remaining candidates want you to know before you vote whether the candidate you vote for can handle Ron Johnson on a debate stage and where that person stands on legalizing marijuana, reparations, and protecting your rights to vote and have that vote counted as cast. We're a walk in the park compared to Ron Johnson. Show the state you're ready, Mandela. Join us and let's have the first debate with all the candidates. All right, that's the ad. It's running now in every television market in the state: Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, Wausau, La Crosse, Eau Claire, and Duluth Superior. I just wanted to make clear that what we asked Chair Harrison to do was to use his authority and work out some way to cancel the endorsement and to make the other candidates whole, to try and reverse some of the damage which was done, and to get to each of the other 4 candidates the same amount of money which the party has made available to the endorsee. I think that concludes pretty much what we have to say today. Wanted to bring you up to speed on where things stand. Wanted to open up the questions. If anybody, any of the journalists here have any questions, please ask. I think everything's open. You'd have to unmute and ask a question, or if not, you can contact the campaign press secretary, Isaac Owen, through peter4wi.press@gmail.com. Okay, not hearing anything. Want to thank you all for coming today, and urge everybody to vote on August 9th. Thanks very much again. Have a great day. Dr. Williams, thank you for coming also.
Thank you.
Okay.